Hi there, and thank you for joining me for today's live reading of The Innovator, Water Rising number 3 by Nadia Han, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Prologue, Grayson. Mom dropped me off at school, but I snuck back home after she left for work. I was now in my backyard, hiding in my treehouse because I didn't want to risk Mom suddenly stopping by at home and finding me. She was probably busy working with Uncle Derek today, but it was better safe than sorry. They worked together at Wu Real Estate Solutions. I'd be grounded if she found me here instead of at school. Hopefully, my sister Audrey wouldn't be looking for me at the end of school. I'd tell her I had gone to some club after school and come back home later. Nerves played in my stomach like a slinky that wouldn't stop. How could I concentrate on schoolwork after witnessing that murder last week with my friends? We would have died if that man with the slash across his face hadn't told us to run and keep our mouths shut. He was part of the gang, or mafia, but he let us go. It didn't matter. I just wanted to get away from that church. It had been our regular meeting place to discuss our Waterfire Rising video game, but now it was a crime scene. Remy had a better view of the murder, but I saw enough and heard the gun pop several times. He gave us a second chance to live that day, and my heart hammered as though it had just happened. Using my backpack as my pillow, I lay down on the floor of my treehouse. Uncle Derek helped me build it. If Dad had been alive, he would have taught me. How were my friends coping? They'd been scared too. We'd all captured something on our drones and saved it to a flash drive. The man with the scar told us to keep our mouths shut or they'd kill us and our families. We believed him. We would have died if someone else had caught us. That person might not have had the decency to give us a second chance. My stomach twisted at the thought. I'd never seen anyone murdered. A car pulled into the driveway, and I peeked out from the window, which overlooked the driveway and garage. Uncle Derek got out of the car and walked around to the backyard. Shit. He wouldn't come up to the treehouse. I was the only one who used it. My friends often hung out here too. Audrey did a few times, but Uncle Derek didn't. I didn't dare move, not wanting him to find me skipping school. I didn't think I could lie if he caught me. His voice brought on a protectiveness that only parents could offer. Uncle Derek had been the father figure for me ever since my dad died. Sharing my fears with an adult would help ease it, but I didn't want to get him killed by some gang. So I hid in the corner, trying not to make a sound. The summer air was warm and the sun was shining, but I didn't feel bright and cheerful. It's all set. You'll get your money soon, Uncle Derek spoke into his phone, walking around the backyard. That clip you gave me? I can't see a damn thing. It's too dark. If you find another angle from another street, let me know. I held my breath as Uncle Derek walked by the treehouse and toward the garden. He must have been talking about another real estate deal. I'm busy for the next few weeks. Won't be able to join the meeting. I've got to take my nephew to a basketball game this weekend. Reschedule it. He sounded irritated at the person on the other line. I almost forgot about the Celtics game. He'd gotten us those tickets a month ago. I had been so excited. Maybe that would take my mind off the murder. What made him think a cement wall was a fucking good idea? I want him gone. He's just going to mess things up again and jeopardize the larger plan. Uncle Derek's irritation skipped down my spine. I had never sensed this anger from him before. Someone must have ruined an important project at work. What tunnel? When? Uncle Derek cursed again. Keep me in the loop. Why was he so angry? Chapter 1. Natalie. Huffing out a frustrated breath, I stared at the calendar on my computer, reminding myself that this mundane job was just temporary. Soon, I'd be given my resignation letter and returning to my former life. No more boring spreadsheets, city council memos, trash recycling questions, and other miscellaneous tasks that came with working for the Department of Public Works and Parks in the city of Providence, Rhode Island. None of these tasks would serve me after my time was done. Thank God. What kind of person thought about leaving her job when she'd only been there for 6 months? A person with an agenda. A person who needed to find out why her father had bought her a property in another country and told no one before his death. Why were you in the States, Dad? A reminder chimed in my computer, alerting me of 3 upcoming deadlines, including a status meeting I had to attend tomorrow morning. A headache throbbed in my temple, and I closed my eyes, trying to quiet my mind. For a minute, I became invisible, and my senses honed in on the surrounding noises. I heard fingers flying across the keyboard, a rhythmical click-clack that could be meditative if I'd been in the mood. Not too far away, a printer beeped, needing a paper refill. Someone stapled papers and slammed them onto a desk, and drawers opened and closed. My cubicle separated me from my coworker, Penelope, who typed and talked with emphasis. Down the hall were 7 coworkers in cubicles, but they hardly made a peep because of Dolores Kennedy, also known as Sergeant Kennedy, who disciplined the office like she ran a military base. Leaning back in my uncomfortable chair, I released a quiet sigh. I thought my cubicle days were over, but life had a strange way of pivoting. The unexpected twists and turns kept me on my toes. C'est la vie. I went from designing luxury apparel and accessories to working in an area in which I had zero experience. My stress level spiked on the first day of work. The anxiety subsided as I learned more about the municipality. There was nothing wrong with an administrative job. It was important to the commissioner, who handled many things people took for granted: water, sewer, trash, recycling, leaf pickup, snow removal, and so on. It was true that a city required a village to run it properly, and now I was a villager. It's temporary, Natalie, a means to an end. The career 180 shifted my mentality from managing a fast paced company to dealing with details that moved at a turtle's pace. I was a quick learner, and that saved my sanity and kept my true identity hidden. People knew me as Natalie Chapelle, the name on my resume that matched all my other documents: credit cards, banks, lease agreement, and driver's license. Money could buy many things, and I took advantage of that. When I told my mom about my plan to go to Providence and investigate Dad's property, Mom almost had a heart attack. I understood her concern. No mother would want her child in danger, but I needed answers to why my dad was there. Did he have a second life hidden from his family? Though Mom was worried about me, I could see the disbelief and devastation in her eyes regarding the rumors surrounding my dad. Had there been a second woman? Mom never spoke the thought out loud, but I knew. My luck with men had been anything but fortunate. The unknown was often worse than the facts, but I needed facts, and I'd do anything to get them. My family deserved closure. The new residence and job gave me a reprieve that I didn't expect. An ocean separated me from responsibilities that weighed heavily on my shoulders and a relationship that kept resurfacing even though it had ended a year ago. Providence was the new beginning I needed, but I didn't share this with Mom, who had a lot to deal with already. I had wanted a job at the Registry of Deeds, but there were no openings, so I submitted my resume to the DPW, which worked out well. My administrative position made me invisible, allowing me to maneuver around to get information. The city had records of everything, and yet I couldn't find anything on the prison. Why would Dad purchase an abandoned building? Why hadn't he mentioned it to me and Mom? I worried someone would find out the truth about me one day. Would I get arrested for ethical violations or for falsifying documents? I had no idea. I didn't have time to worry about that. I tried calling City Hall to request info on the prison as a resident and not as an employee, but the clerk said there was none available. That should have been a glaring sign that the municipal system wasn't working properly, but she didn't care. Dinner at your place? Tonight? Penelope giggled quietly from the other side of my cube. She was probably talking to her boyfriend, Zach. 10 years older than me, she had a cheerful personality that made her appear younger. Happiness brightened up a person's character and face, making them look more youthful. Was I happy? No. Stress didn't make room for joy or happiness. Penelope laughed again and her conversation grew louder. I cleared my throat and whispered, "Shh, Sergeant Kennedy might head this way soon." At 66 years old, Dolores Kennedy had been working for the city for 30 years and believed in a strict and quiet working environment. She knew everyone and how the city functioned, and that gave her power. Gotta go now. Enjoy your lunch. I can't wait to pinch your butt, babe. I smiled at her banter with her boyfriend. My ex-fiance would appreciate that kind of playfulness, not just with me, but with many women. I've seen videos of him on his other girlfriend's social media platforms. That relationship had been one of my many mistakes from the beginning. Thanks. Penelope leaned against the wall that separated my cubicle from hers. She had a lovely face with adorable freckles and curly brown hair. You're welcome, I said. If Penelope got into trouble, Sergeant Kennedy would linger around here more often. That meant I couldn't snoop around for my research. Plus, Penelope had been helpful in showing me the ropes when I first started, so we watched out for one another. Everything takes time here. No need to rush because no one else is rushing. That had been Penelope's advice when she saw my urgent email demanding a status on a project. I had to get used to the slow pace that drive me crazy. However, I was playing a role here and needed to adapt. It was like putting on a unique set of attire to portray a specific mood or attitude. Clothes could conceal or reveal. Right now, I was wearing khaki capris and a pink cotton shirt, casual and simple, with no makeup. I blended in well with my environment. I had to get a new wardrobe because most of my clothes were from my collection or designer brands. One designer dress cost more than the entire wardrobe I'd purchased at Target and TJ Maxx, which had amazing collections. Some designer brands weren't worth the money, especially when the seams tore after one wash. Don't get me started on that. Quality was important to me. Like clothing, the quality in people mattered. Do you want to join me and Zach for dinner tonight? Penelope asked. No thanks, I'm tired and plan to head to bed early. I almost said I didn't want to interrupt her butt pinching, but that would reveal I'd been listening to her conversation, which I hadn't done on purpose. She sat on the other side of the wall and she could hear my conversations too. Boring. I shrugged. That's me. Boring was exactly the image I needed to portray. Any interest directed my way would cause a distraction. An unseen person was like a spirit that could go wherever she wanted. Why don't you wear any makeup? Penelope gestured to my face. I've got some products I can give you. I bet you'd look stunning. Too much work. I'm lazy. I don't have a guy to impress like you. Boring, remember? Thank you, though. Penelope was a sweet and genuine person. I wasn't used to girls like her. The women in my circle only cared about themselves. There was constant competition about who looked better, who was engaged to the most eligible bachelor, what the latest trends were in fashion, and where the next banquet to play dress up was. They would never offer me genuine feedback like Penelope did. Their comments were coated with poison or hidden agendas. Don't take it the wrong way, she said. You have a pretty face, but you're wasting it by not showing it off. No offense taken. One day I'll be inspired to wake up early and put on makeup just for you. Want to go to lunch now? Penelope asked, glancing at the clock on the wall. Food for Thoughts updated their menu. It's nice out. Come with me. The July weather was perfect with low humidity. Okay, I need to stop by Robert's office first. I'll meet you there. Grabbing my purse, I swung by the commissioner's office and knocked on the open door that showed Robert Connor flipping through a stack of folders on his table. He glanced up at me, offering a warm smile. He had kind eyes and snow white hair that matched his mustache. I'd met his wife Linda once when she came to pick him up from work. The online articles portrayed him as a difficult man, but I found he was a man who got things done. His job wasn't to make friends with the employees, but to get things done in a timely manner. I admired and respected people who had a strong work ethic. Sometimes you had to be a bitch to get things done. That was required to run a successful fashion empire. Robert, you received a call from a reporter at Channel 5 News. He wants to discuss the water leak on Main Street. He'll call you back later today. Also, I scheduled a meeting with you and the city manager for a budget review. He blew out a breath. Thank you. With so many projects and repairs in the works, it'll be chaotic in the office for the next few months. Well, you have a team here to assist you. I'm heading to lunch. Want me to bring you back something? Can you get 2 extra black coffees, one for me and one for my guest working in the conference room? I've been stuck in meetings and left him working alone in there. Getting coffee for other people was also new to me. The last time I did that for anyone in a working environment was for my mom and dad. Sure. I didn't know Robert had a guest today. It wasn't on his calendar, but that wasn't abnormal as he seemed to be pulled into unexpected meetings often. As I headed toward the stairs, I passed by 2 women by the coffee machine, giggling. Grayson's hot, rich, and intelligent, said the girl wearing the plaid skirt. I didn't recognize her as an employee in the building. I should have ignored them and gone to lunch, but curiosity slowed my pace. Irritation slid down my back at the mention of Grayson's name. My phone pinged with a text message, and I pulled it out to check in case it was Penelope changing the lunch location. Stepping over to the counter with the office supply cabinets, I checked my message. Michelle. Hey, you coming to the martial arts class this week? Vivian's the special instructor. Natalie. Won't miss it. Michelle. Great. See you then. Taking self-defense classes was something I'd always wanted to do, but never had the time until now. My schedule used to be slammed with meetings, traveling to look for upcoming trends, and choosing colors and fabric for the next collection. In this new role, my life opened to new possibilities. You already have a hot and rich man, Jill. Maggie, one of the city's solicitors, flicked her long red hair over her shoulder. I wonder if he's seen anyone. I don't see a ring on his finger, so you're good. Jill laughed. Why don't you ask him out? I don't want to get fired if he complains to HR, but I can give him a hint. Use one of your legal tactics from the courtroom to get an answer from him. Jill bumped shoulders with her. You'd make a stunning couple. You know what? I'm going to do that right now. Maggie pulled out her phone from her Versace purse and typed as she spoke. Interested in a cocktail tonight? She bit her lip, smiling at the screen, and tucked it back in her purse. He'd be a fool to say no to that kind of invitation, Jill said, as though she wasn't in a professional atmosphere that called for more discreet conversation. Why was I still standing there eavesdropping? I had no idea. They laughed, and the sound felt like pinpricks on my skin. It was odd because I didn't care if they were interested in the irritating man who had refused to sign multiple documents I'd sent his way. He'd delayed my process, which meant I had more work to do, and he'd been rude in his reply whenever I called or emailed him for an update. A gorgeous face didn't make up for the ugly character that lay beneath the facade. The fashion industry produced a lot of gorgeous people, but not all of them possessed the personality to match the beauty. I'd learned to look at beauty differently, and I had standards to abide by. As far as I was concerned, Grayson was just another wealthy, arrogant, and good-looking man who had no regard for others. The glamorous exterior attracted women like Maggie and Jill, but I knew better. These days I steered clear of men like Grayson Wu. I wonder when he'll reply, Maggie said, twirling a lock of red hair around her finger. Sergeant Kennedy emerged with a straight posture, squared shoulders, and a stern face, wearing a navy jacket over gray pants with a folder in her hand. She had short gray hair that came to her chin. Girls, this is not Gossip Hollywood. Please keep your voices down. If you must gossip, please head downstairs to the cafeteria, or go outside where the birds and bees would be more interested in your conversation. You're blocking the coffee machine. She squeezed between the girls and started making coffees. Maggie whispered something to Jill as they walked away, sneering at Sergeant Kennedy's back. Sergeant Kennedy looked over her shoulder at them, then at me. You part of the Gossip Girls Club too? Nope, going to lunch now. I couldn't help but smile as I headed down the stairs and almost bumped into Robert's wife. She had dark brown hair, an oval face, and light green eyes. Hi, Linda, I said. Robert's not in his office. He's at a meeting. I know, I'm just dropping off lunch for him since I was in the area. He'll be happy when he returns to his office. Enjoy your day. You as well, she smiled. As I walked on the sidewalk, Grayson Wu's face intruded my vision as though he knew I'd been spying on a conversation about him. Why wouldn't I be curious about the man who had made my life difficult for the past few months? I should be used to unpleasant billionaires with massive egos by now, but none of them got under my skin the way he did. Stress had been piling up on me, and Grayson's attitude didn't help. Thinking about him soured my mood, so I shoved him out of my head and entered the sandwich shop.